second here. Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. I hope you are doing fantastic today. Welcome to Speaker Spotlight. For those I have not met before, my name is Lori, and I am a business and personal brand success coach who helps freedom-loving coaches, consultants, and strategists to grow and scale sustainable location-independent businesses and personal brands that support them long-term so that they will never need to look back in their rearview mirror at that 9-to-5 life again. And today I am joined by Jaclyn Gallo, the CEO of Clarity and Action Consulting, a women's empowerment company on a mission to help women create lives that they love. She is also a life coach, two-time best-selling author, TEDx speaker, and host of the popular Spark Your Light podcast. At age 21, which is super impressive, by the way, Jaclyn started her business from her dorm room at Georgetown University. Today, she has now spoken at over 125 corporations, conferences, universities in 7 countries. And Jaclyn has been featured by Forbes, Elite Daily, Bustle, and Washington Business Journal, as well as Good Morning Washington. And this is, wow, just so awesome. So welcome, Jaclyn, for our audience, a little bit of an introduction. If you could just give us a little more background on yourself. And like I said, it's pretty impressive background. Like, what led you into this life, as a college student?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here and to be able to hopefully share some knowledge that's helpful and resonates. I did not know this was going to be my path at all. So at 21, I landed my dream internship, which was corporate marketing. And I thought, well, I want to work in marketing. I want to climb the corporate ladder. Maybe I can become the CMO one day. And I just really thought that's what I was going to do forever. I would do the internship, I would get a job, and the rest would be history. But in the internship, I had this weird feeling. And actually, it's not so weird. It's pretty normal. Probably many people listening, including you, Lori, if you worked a regular job before you started all your entrepreneurial ventures, maybe felt this feeling. It was like I was at an 80 out of 100 in terms of happiness and fulfillment. And so it wasn't so bad. It wasn't miserable. It wasn't like I couldn't go one more day. I actually enjoyed a lot of the parts of it. But that missing 20 meant everything to me. And I was young. I had no idea if it was possible. I can't say I had that many role models in my life that were leading careers that they absolutely loved. My dad didn't really like any of his jobs, but suffered through them to support our family. My mom stayed home for most of my childhood, and all she wanted to do was stay home. And when she went back to work, she hated going back to work. And so I thought, is it actually possible to have a career that you get that extra 20 and that you really feel at 100? And when I say 100, it doesn't mean that you feel happy all the time, of course, but it means that you feel fulfilled and you're willing to do the things that maybe are uncomfortable or maybe some days are frustrating because you really enjoy the work and the day-to-day and everything that comes with it. And I just thought, well, why don't I try? What do I have to lose to see if it's possible? And the only way that I could comprehend it being possible was being an entrepreneur, because the different things that I didn't like about the job were things that wouldn't really be solved at another job. And so that's when I decided I'm going to take a leap of faith and try to start a business. But I didn't really have any business ideas. So it was like every day I would write in a notebook all kinds of ideas. And I was studying business in school, but the kind of business that you study is different from entrepreneurship unless you're specifically studying entrepreneurship. So I remember signing up for an entrepreneurship class for my fall semester of my senior year, but I hadn't had any experience. So I pretty much only knew what I saw on Shark Tank, to be honest. And I would write down these really outlandish product ideas because I thought that's what a business is. And so long story short, my first idea was a product that failed. Then I created an app that also failed. I raised money on Kickstarter to fund all of this, drained my bank account and borrowed a little bit from my parents. And both of those ideas were just complete waste of about $50,000 total, and felt like a failure, felt really confused. This was fast forwarding about 2.5 years. And I actually came across a Facebook ad that changed my life. So for anyone who runs Facebook ads, it could change someone's
They
life.
can be good. Yes.
And it was talking about how women could become public speakers. And I thought, that really interests me. It sparked me. And I really believe that our intuition can guide us to the best path for us. And I'm really proud of myself that despite feeling so down, I trusted the spark. So if anyone's listening and you're feeling like you're at a low point, maybe you've tried different things, you've failed in the past, trust your spark. Even if the spark is just a little bit, you're feeling really low, but you feel a little bit less low when you think about that one idea or when you
Mhm.
come across that one potential opportunity, trust that. I trusted the spark. I took this course and I was all in. I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. It just felt right to me.
Mhm.
And everything up until that point, it hadn't felt wrong. It felt like I was on the right path, like I was kind of moving in the right direction, but nothing had clicked quite into place the way this did. And once I started speaking, everything else kind of just naturally took off from there. And I got into coaching and I've written 2 books, and it's just been a really beautiful experience. And I'm so grateful that I didn't give up when I had failed so many times.
Yeah, and I think, that's amazing, and I think it's something that people really need to hear more, is that, you sometimes have to go through that journey of figuring it all out and trying all the things, and like you said, you knew you were on the right path, but nothing had quite clicked yet. But then eventually you get to that point, you get to that thing in that moment that clicks, and you realize, like, how much power you have in yourself to then actually like show up and be that person and to actually get what you want. So yeah, that's amazing. And it's not like they're not necessarily failures, right? Because the things that you went through helped you to get where you are today. So I think that's a big part of our conversation today is talking about that resilience, right? And ditching the fear of failure. So let's dive into that part of the conversation because I'm very excited. And I just want to let anybody to know if you are watching live, please go ahead and feel free to ask any questions as we go.
Yeah, please do. Please chime in. We are here for it all. So, ditching the fear of failure. I think the first thing that's really important here is what your definition of failure is. So, whenever I ask people, what does failure mean to you? Usually it means things like disappointment, not being good enough, feeling like you're never going to be successful, feeling like maybe the thing that you're pursuing isn't meant for you. And these are really heavy feelings where we are not only making failure this terrible thing, but
Mhm.
internalizing it and making it mean something about our identity. And while I think there's been a lot of growth in the world of personal development and kind of just
Mhm.
messages that are being shared, especially during the pandemic, I think this is one positive that came out of the pandemic is a lot of
Mhm.
conversation about resilience. And when I
Yes.
was deep in my failure, I didn't come across that word very often. So I think that some people are now able to understand that failure is a part of the process. But
Yes.
what they miss is that it's not part of the process, it is the process. And when you can change your definition of failure to instead be one of being one step closer to where you want to go,
Mhm.
seeing it as growth, seeing it as opportunity, then there's no need to fear it and you can start to embrace it. So that's where I think the work really is. And when you see it as growth and when you see it as opportunity, even if you internalize it, you're internalizing it in a positive way. Like, look at me. I'm one step closer than I was
Mhm.
yesterday, right?
Yep.
And that's the shift. So I would really be honest with yourself about like what are you currently making failure mean and what would be a better definition for you? Something that's helpful in doing that is looking at your past failures. So I personally define failure, and feel free to take this definition if you would like, as either a lesson that's going to move me one step closer to where I want to go, or a redirection that's helping me align with my divine path. So I can put every failure I've ever had in my entire life into
Mhm.
of these categories. So with my business failures, you could find lessons in them. Of course, you could find lessons in everything. But the main category I would say was redirection. I wasn't on the path I was supposed to be on. And if anyone is listening right now, you could probably just from the 10 minutes you've been chatting and listening to this conversation, you could probably realize that I was maybe not the best fit as a tech CEO of my app company, but maybe I'm a great fit at being a speaker. And the universe wanted to get me there. But how was it going to get me there as this person who thought she was supposed to work in corporate marketing, right? It's like you have to have these trials and tribulations to get you there. And maybe the universe sent me a Facebook ad very similar 3 years prior, but my brain didn't even notice it because we only take in 0.004% of all of the information that we come across. Otherwise, our brains would be in complete overwhelm. What we choose to take in, we delete, we distort, and we generalize. And we do that based on our own filters, our own beliefs. And so at that time, my filter and belief was, I am going to be in corporate marketing, right? And then it was, I'm going to start a product company. So I would have just totally filtered that out. So I was required to have those failures in a sense to help me redirect. And the same is true with lessons. There have been certain lessons that I have learned that it's like, gosh, thank God I learned that, because if I didn't, I would never be able to do the things that I want to do. And so when you can take your own failures, not just hear mine, but take your own, grab a journal, whether you're going to do it right now or after this, and start to just categorize. Maybe make your own definition if mine doesn't quite work for you, right? There's no right way. It's about what resonates with you. But once you can do that, then you can start to see failure differently. Okay, I'm seeing some comments come in.
Yeah, I am too. I'm trying to bring up on my phone so I can see who they're from, but we can still address them.
So the first one says, I think the worst part is to accept the failure, sit and try to analyze what I did and didn't do right in the process. This is really important. I think there's this messaging in the world of personal growth, especially with manifestation and law of attraction, of don't think about things that are hard. Don't think any negative thoughts ever. And this is a total misconception. Acceptance, processing your emotions is the best thing you can do for yourself, simply to feel better, number one. Number two, if you do want to attract the things you want in your life, when you process your emotions and move through them, then you are emitting a higher vibration, and therefore you're attracting opportunities that are of that higher vibration through processing your emotions. So I'm so glad that you acknowledge that that is the thing to do. And of course it's hard. Of course it's hard to feel like something didn't work out the way you wanted it to. It's really interesting because what you said here is analyzing what you did and didn't do right in the process. Sometimes we didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes it just wasn't the opportunity, right? It's like, let's say take speaking, for example. When I started speaking, I would apply to, probably about 10 speaking engagements a day, like sending emails, filling out speaker applications, and I would get rejected from 10 most days. Right? I might get one in like a 2-week period. That was really great, right? That was great traction. And sure, someone could come in and say, well, maybe you could position yourself better here. Maybe you could switch this thing or that thing. But I think a lot of it was, I didn't do anything wrong. I had created a really great keynote speech. I had put myself out there in a really awesome way. And it was just part of the process of, I'm going to have to pitch myself many times. I'm going to get some opportunities. Then I'm going to build on those opportunities. I'm going to get testimonials. I'm going to build my name. And that's how I built my entire business. So sometimes it's safe for you to know, hey, maybe I didn't do anything wrong. Because if you beat yourself up from a place of self-hate, almost like a bully, every time you fail, that pain, you're going to want to avoid it. Human beings, the number one thing with psychology is we move away from pain. So more than we move towards pleasure. So if that is what you do every time you fail, you're not going to want to fail. Now, to me, there's also another side of this that could be negative where people just put blinders up. oh, well, I failed. And then they keep experiencing the same failure over and over again because they haven't learned the lesson and there was a clear lesson. So my recommendation in a situation
Mhm.
like this is to ask yourself, how can I look at my opportunities for growth from a lens of self-love? And I just did this a few weeks ago. I gave a speech. It was a 9.5 out of 10 if I had to grade myself. And that means that point 0.5 was off. And so
Mhm.
after the speech, I said to myself, okay, Jaclyn, here are the things you did so well. I'm so proud of you. And here are the things that you could grow in and step into to be an even better you. And it felt like this energy of love, of respect
Mhm.
for where I was going, for knowing the best version of me and knowing that I could be her and wanting to gently help myself to step into it. But I
I
could have
love that.
taken it differently. I could have looked at it and said, you did these things wrong. So therefore, the entire speech was terrible. And you need to practice these things. You're not enough. You're never going you don't even deserve to get paid for that. I could have went a completely
Yeah.
different direction. So it's really important to find that blend when you are accepting a failure.
Yeah, I think that that happens with a lot of people, especially early stages, when they don't recognize, you know, really how powerful they are in, themselves, and they don't have that confidence in themselves. When it comes to finding that confidence. I mean, do you have any, I guess, words of wisdom around someone who's going into these situations that just they're ground zero, right? They have no confidence built. They know all these things, but they don't know how to apply it.
Yeah. You have to start where you are always. You have to meet yourself where you are. I know in those moments, I remember a vivid memory of crying on the floor of my grandmother's garage where I stored my product, realizing that nobody was buying it and it was time to pivot. And in that moment, it felt like I couldn't even continue on. It felt like, how
Mhm.
was I ever even going to pick myself back up? And so I just asked myself, what's the next step? The next step was not to feel super confident and put myself on a stage. The next step was simply, okay, let's just go home, get a good night's sleep, eat something that is going to fill your body.
Mhm.
And then tomorrow, write down 3 ideas for where you could pick up the pieces from here. So taking it one step at a time can be really, really helpful. The other thing with building confidence is doing things that will help build it. So it's this funny cycle because you have to have
Mhm.
a little bit of confidence to do the thing. But then once you do it, it'll build it. So anything that helps you get out of your comfort zone will build your confidence.
Mhm.
That's like one of my favorite ways to do it. So, like one example that I always recommend is take a freezing cold shower, do a physical workout that you think you might not be able to do. So whether it's, do 5 more push-ups than you think you can. If you don't think you can do any, can you do one push-up,
Mhm. Right.
right? You don't think you can do the 45-minute yoga class, go to it anyway and see how it goes and prove to yourself that you can. But then the question becomes, well, how do you get yourself to do that thing? You start small with this trend of self-trust and self-accountability and courage. So ask yourself, what is one small thing I could commit to, that I could do that would be out of my comfort zone, that I feel that I could do right now? It might be uncomfortable, but I could get myself to do it. That would help build my confidence, and start there. It could be super small. It could
I love
be,
that.
you know what? I'm going to go out on my lunch break and I'm just going to walk around the block 3 times because I haven't exercised in 2 years and I feel awful about it. Right? The
Mhm.
smallest step. But once you do it, then you can funnel that up and up and up and up into a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And before you know it, you're going to be trying big, scary things. And then you're going to have all this evidence that you can do big, scary things.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's a great approach because what I see, especially when in business as a business coach, is people like jumping in and online. I'm sure you've seen it in the online space. It's just like almost toxic in some ways, and people jump in and they see all these posts about so and so making this much money or doing this, and they're like, okay, I can do that, and then 3 months down the line, if they're not making, $10,000 a month, they're beating themselves up because they went right for it. They're like, I'm going to do that. In 3 months, I'm going to be making 10K. Instead of saying, I just want to get one client in 3 months, like I want to just like learn the skills that I need in order to build my business. I just want to build my website, whatever it is, those little steps, that they skip all the little steps to go straight to the big step. And then when they don't meet it, you feel like, we feel like crap about ourselves, right? Because you skipped all of the other steps. So that's great advice. I love it.
And I'm glad you brought that up because it is exactly related to this next question we got, which is in a situation where one is failing while running out of time to achieve a particular goal, what can one do drastically? So, the first thing I'm going to acknowledge here is the running out of time. So, I'm curious about this, and you can feel free to send another comment in forever how much you want to describe about this. But when you say running out of time, it's like, is this time that you arbitrarily set? Like, I want to make this much money by the end of 2022. Is it something that is external? Like maybe you quit your job and you have a certain amount of savings, and that in 3 months you're going to be out of savings and you're going to have to get another job. Is it something that, you know, this is the time for it and that's it? Like, let's say this is a really outlandish example, but it's the only thing I could think of right now. Like you're going for the Olympics and it's like the trial and like this is the time. And if not, you have to wait another 4 years, and 4 years you might be too old or whatever it is. Sometimes there really are time constraint things that just exist. Those are the systems and structures. If it's not that, if it's one that you set, and even the example with running out of money, okay, you'll run out of money. Does it mean that you need to quit your business? No. What if you get a job and
Right.
go work on your business? So the point I'm making here is that there's really no such thing as running out of time on a goal that's meant for you. Because the Olympic example, then maybe the Olympics wasn't the thing that was
Right.
meant for you. Or you're gonna go all in on it until the deadline and give your all, right? Like, so the way that I see it, especially with business, as like most of the listeners are business owners, it's impossible to run out of time. And so the way that I like to see goals is set goals, set timelines, challenge yourself, push yourself.
Right.
But the ultimate goal should be, I'm doing this no matter what. The way I see it, I have my big, big, big vision. I know it might take 20 years for me to achieve that. But I also wonder if it's possible in the next 3 years. And I'm going to just see if I can. Feel the energy different.
Yeah.
I'm not going to drastically, how do I grow my following by 1 million in the next year? Right? No.
Right.
It's, oh, but what if I could? What if that were possible for me? What might that look like? What would I be willing to try? I know that I'm going to achieve my goal. That's another thing. It's like that mindset of, I'm running out of time. Like, I'm not going to be able to achieve it. There's not a part of me that doubts I'm going to be able to achieve it. Why? Not because I think I am the best person ever, so smart, so skilled, simply because I know that I'm going to commit until I achieve it.
Yeah.
Why do I know that? Well, I've proven that to myself with evidence in the past. And I started very, very, very small. And I started with things that weren't even related to business. I ran a marathon. Not everyone has to run a marathon. You can try a 5K. You don't have to run. You can do some kind of other challenge. But the point is, commit to things in your life until you achieve them. And then you start to build that evidence, and then well, I'm going to achieve my goal no matter what. So there's really no reason to feel like you're running out of time. That just sentence in and of itself, I'm running out of time. How does it feel in your body? For me, it feels heavy. It feels like I need to rush, and I hate rushing. It feels like there's nothing I can do. It's outside of me, and I have to go catch up to it, versus how fast could I achieve this goal, and what magic could I possibly create in the next day, week, month, year? Holy crap. What might that look like? What does that feel like? Same goal, same big, scary goal in a time, but it feels different. So I would really take a look at your energy and what you're making failure mean.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to just kind of reference what you were saying too about like making the choice to just like, you're going to make these things happen. And when you show up and you choose to be the person that it is, that you want to be, whatever that goal is, and when you choose to be the person that's going to have that goal, it doesn't matter if it's going to happen in 3 months or 3 years. Like, you keep showing up, you keep being committed, and stop fearing the failure and welcome the failure. So
I'm so glad you found it helpful. It's powerful.
yeah,
It's powerful.
thank you. And that's Michael. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Awesome. Awesome. So any last words of wisdom? This has been fantastic. So any last words of wisdom for those that are in the early stages of this journey?
My biggest advice for the early stages, if I could go back, I would focus on my long-term vision. I wasted so much time chasing that next dollar, chasing that next shiny object, because I wanted to prove to others that I was successful, because I wanted to prove to myself that I could be successful, because I wanted more money than I had, lots of reasons, right? But if I would have just allowed myself to, what is my vision, and get really clear on that. And obviously your vision evolves and changes, but I think deep down I always knew what the vision was. The same vision that I have right now, I knew it. At least I didn't know it in the very beginning, right? When I tried all these random business ideas. But once I got into the world of speaking and coaching, I knew what my vision was. Find a way to set your life up so that you can focus on it. So if you need to have some other income coming in so that you don't have to be so obsessed with that 10K month, is the 10K month your vision, or is your vision to have, a coaching business with this many clients? Is your vision to have, an audience of this many people, or whatever it is? Write a book. Like, if that's the vision, do the thing you want to do now. Go for it now. That's my biggest piece of advice. Remember that we do not live in a microwave. And I know sometimes it may feel like you can just put this thing into the microwave because someone else did it, and in 30 days it's going to pop out and it's going to be the thing you want. Approach it from a lens of, maybe that's possible, and let's see the magic that can come. But be so committed to that vision and where you're going that you don't make decisions that distract you. I made too many decisions that distracted me in the beginning, and I would love to impart that wisdom on some that are newer in business, to stay focused on what you really want.
That is fantastic. Words of wisdom. And on that note, I just wanted to pop that up there. But if you let people know how they can connect with you and keep in touch.
Sorry, I was reading the comments.
No problem.
Did I miss anything? Yeah, well, thanks for tuning in. You can follow me on social media at Jaclyn_Gallo on Instagram, and Jaclyn_Gallo on TikTok. I'm here on Facebook as well, Jaclyn Gallo. My podcast is called Spark Your Light.
Thank you so much for being here, Jaclyn. This has been, I know, very helpful for the audience, and I've enjoyed it too, because it's things that I'm also very passionate about. So thank you for imparting your wisdom on us and sharing this. And everyone, please go ahead and connect with Jaclyn on your preferred platform, since she did give us a few there. And if you are ready to stop living life and running your business on other people's terms, ready to build a brand and a business that you love and that supports the remote-based freedom that you desire, stop going at it alone. Reach out. Let's chat about how we can help you get there faster, with more confidence, less sleazy sales, and in a way that is authentically you. Go ahead and reach out to myself or any of the admins in our Facebook group to learn more. So thank you again, Jaclyn, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you for everybody for participating.
Thanks again, Lori, for having me. Bye.